Here we go again. Same old shit, dog, just a different day. Here we go again. You know how we do when we play, how we play. Alright. Ow. So, I had the wherewithal this time around to bring a notebook. Cause goddamn. Whew. I've been drinking. I think that's a Beyonce song or some shit. I don't know. Alright, episode 3. I got notes. A different pace in this episode. Yeah, different pace. I still liked it. It was more oh shit. Hold on, let me get this word out. Explanatory. There you go. That's the word I was looking for. I'm gonna start from the beginning of the episode this time because I wrote down the things I thought was interesting because I knew that my brain was gonna forget it. So I was like, boom, paper, pen. 100 Cousins. I thought that scene was dope when he was buying a TV. This entire show, what I've picked up, what I've gleaned from the show, somebody, because again, I don't know who wrote this show. I'm assuming black people. Somebody wants to show you what it is that we go through in a condensed version. I imagine maybe somewhere in the world, somebody goes through racism every single day, 7 times a day, all week, yada yada yada. But for most black people, racism is like every now and then. For the most part, every day we kind of go through normally, and then like on the third Saturday is like, oh, that was racist. Like for most people. So this show was like a super amped up, like, yo, when was the last racist thing that happened? 13 minutes ago? Well, reset the clock because that was racist. Like this show was just bang, 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 bang racist. Dad's going in to buy a TV, doing a regular job of a customer buying a TV, kind of grilling the salesman. Well, now, you know, Sears got a 15% off. What you gonna do for me? Regular shit. Salesman just makes an offhand comment of like, well, once you have this TV, I bet you got 100 cousins who would, you know, love to spend the night type thing. And the father, Henry, takes it on chin, keeps it moving because the sale is important. That's what's important here. You gotta focus on the goal. Don't get distracted. After the sale is made at a discount, he does a little slick, here's a tip. I bet you got, because the guy's fat, by the way. I bet you got 100 cousins who would love to get an ice cream cone or something like that. Nice little jab, because what is it, 2021? I've experienced life for about 20 years. Granted, I'm older than 20, but when you're a kid, you're not paying attention. So for 20 years of my, you know, adult life or cognitive life, I've seen interactions, how people perceive things, take things, say things, and how it affects, you know, individuals. A lot of it's unnecessary. Racism is unnecessary because the question is, where does it stem from? Am I actually doing something wrong to you? Am I hurting you in some way, shape, or form? And if I am, how? And if you can't explain how, then the question is begged, like, am I actually doing anything wrong to you? That little interaction was a nice little zing comeback on Henry. Cool. Betty. Evil white lady. Name is Betty. I caught that one this time. Probably gonna forget it. It's a generic name. But anyway, Betty, I have no issues with her as an actor. I have no issues with the actor portraying the character. She's doing a great job. It'd be 10 times worse if the actor was not committed to the role. I know we as viewers are watching this character and hating this character. Similar to, like I mentioned earlier, I'm watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Johnny Walker, the new Captain America. If the actor was terrible at his job, we would hate it that much more. But the actor is good at being a bad Captain America. This actor is good at being a bad Betty. I'm going to keep saying her name so I don't forget it. Is she cheating with the milkman? I feel like she's not cheating with the milkman, but she strongly desires to. I don't know, it was weird. I think in the last episode somebody mentioned, oh, he's only got eyes for her. And in this episode, they're sitting in a kitchen drinking tea or milk, I don't know. Anyway, kind of strange relationship there. I'm assuming it's going to develop further. The milkman, who I recognize, can't remember which show I recognize him from, but I think he's a bit off too. Yeah, he's definitely a bit off. Anyway, Betty and the Milkman. Who knew? Dad makes the zinger, and they buy the TV. And I think they're doing a good job. The show is doing a good job at rounding off the edges of the world that they live in. So they go buy a TV, and they could buy the TV and go home, but they don't go home. They go to the restaurant down the street because they got 2 hours to wait till the TV get delivered. And then, they get I don't remember what they got, a sundae? I don't know. Whatever they were selling back in the 50s. Anyway, they walk in. Ruby asks, where do we sit? He says right up front. That's like a very nuanced statement to make in the 50s. Black man in a white community walking into a restaurant, telling his daughter, sit up front. We got money, like we can pay for it, but it's not just about money, it's about the entire thing. But I think that was a strong statement to say, sit up front. And she looks at him, they glance, they sit down. The waitress doesn't make a big deal about it. It's fun, they're laughing, everybody's having a good time. So it's kind of creating this idea that they're getting acclimated to this community. I'm sorry, dad, daughter is getting acclimated to this community because Lucky is not having a great time. Lucky is calling up her brother's sister, cousin, somebody, and like, look, sis, I'm about to kill somebody. Y'all need to come get me. So she catch the bus out to Watts. They connect. And I think it was a great job showing the community of Watts. When she gets off the bus, you see black people kind of just milling about, doing what they do. And you see her facial expressions of like a breath of fresh air. Now, I don't know who's watching this video. If you're white, if you're black, if you're any other color in between the spectrum, I'm sure that you've all experienced being somewhere where you're not common. I'm trying to be nice or PC with my words. And then leaving that place where you're not common and going back to a place where there's a plethora of you. There's like a breath of fresh air. Somebody getting locked up. There's a breath of fresh air when you experience the absence of yourself and then see an abundance of yourself. So that scene kind of showed her relaxing. She was getting off the bus and she was like, oh look, oh hey, type thing. Then she knocks on the door and there's an apartment full of people who look like her. So that was cool. And the very next scene was Betty and her little clan. Can I say clan? Clan feels like a nice word. Her little clan of, mothers in the neighborhood. She's like pressuring the one mother to say, and what did she do? She hit your son, Betty don't sleep. She no days off for Betty. Betty is on 100 always. So you saw in those two scenes the back and forth, because they switched back and forth a few times, where you got black people crammed in an apartment, because that apartment probably had about 20 black people in it, crammed in there, but all having a good time, jovial, playing spades, drinking, I assume they were playing spades. I hope they were playing spades. But having a good time playing, and then cut to Betty's house where I think it was maybe 5 white women sitting in a spacious home, but very rigid, very, well, he said this and we said, it was like just the back and forth. I think this show does a great job at showing the back and forth. I will say that. Episode 3, this show does a great job showing the two sides of the coin. Whew. The roof scene, best scene in the episode, I feel. Kind of goes along with what I said earlier, earlier, last episode about, I feel like Henry's character has the most to explore. And that's not to take down any other character. That's not taking down Lucky, not taking down anybody else. But I feel like they're giving the most through Henry. So Henry just bought this TV. Now he's on the roof installing it. He could have paid the movers to install it, but he was like, nah, appreciate you. I do it myself. He's on the roof. 3 husbands walk up to him. A crazy scene. It could have went left. So his Gracie is sitting at the bottom of the ladder and she's playing. 3 white men walk up and he walks, they throw a can at him. He leans over and tells Gracie go inside. That could have went way left. But she gets up, go inside, now it's just all men around. And they're trying to impose their will. I enjoyed his reaction. I didn't so much enjoyed their initiation. Hey man, my wife said that your wife did something to my son. Come on down here, Buck, so we can talk about it. If you're gonna be racist, just be racist. Like if you gonna just go out with like because anything in between is like, and what's your point? Like, what do you want? It was lopsided, I felt, but as a whole, the scene was what it was. So he leans over like, yo, what do you? First of all, what are you talking about? What do you want? Yo, get out of my face. Nah, man, come down here. And they call him all kind of names, and I think he started with gentleman. Like he's keeping the even tone, and they just going left field with it. I think it was when he made the statement, yo, I got kids in the house. Well, we got kids ourselves. Like, nah, son, yo, I'll come down there and kill you. Basically, essentially what he said. But you can see the intensity in his eyes. You can see that his character decided to move to this place to give his family a better opportunity. But there ain't no bitch in his blood. Like, yo, ask me to come down there and I'll show. Matter of fact, I'll tell you what's gonna happen. Ask me to come down there and I'll facilitate that happening of the thing I told you was gonna happen. And they three of them down there shook like, well, you know, we like, no, please, because first it's gonna be you, and then you, in that order. You first, cause you cute. Like it was a. I like the scene. They got shook. They walked away, but you could see, similar to what I was talking about last episode, that when I talked about Henry going to work and the struggle that he dealt with, not to take away from Lucky and her struggle that she deals with. Henry is on that roof dealing with some shit. And if you fast forward through the episode, Lucky comes home and she dealt with some shit. So you got two people who dealt with some shit, who were supposed to be each other's rock. Henry, in this episode, didn't have a chance to unload because Lucky came home needing to unload. So he's gotta pause his release, if you will, to deal with. That's life. But in this episode, it's super life. It's like, hey yo, look, ain't nobody getting no chance to excel. Y'all all waiting. But that scene was dope, and I think it tacks on to the stresses of a black man. In this culture, in the society, we've kind of created this environment where you can't talk about somebody else's struggles. Which, I mean, whatever. Being a black man, like, I can attest to the stresses of that black man in that scenario, where in your head you're thinking, yo, I got this responsibility, I got these kids I gotta take care of, I got these bills, I just bought a TV, I gotta pay off, like all these things, and these dudes is walking up to my house talking about this nonsense, throwing cans at me, trying to belittle me. That's all weight on those shoulders. So I thought that scene did a pretty decent job at relaying that. Betty and her clan of friends were looking out the window as it was happening. And I wrote it down. What does Betty want to happen? I'm curious about that. And actually, and this is like a real life thing too, but like standing at the window, and I want to say like salivating at the mouth. What exactly did she want to transpire in that situation? Did she want the men to kill the black man? And if so, where does that come from? If anybody has the answers, write it down in the comments, because I'm genuinely curious. Obviously, the ultimate question is, where does the hatred come from? But if we gotta get to the nitty gritties. What did she want in that moment to happen? Because they walked away and she was upset. So that begs the question of, well, what would you have liked to see happen? Do you want them to be so stern that he said, you know what, I'm moving, and then like start packing his bags and get the U-Haul and drive off? Like, is that what would have made her happy? Because anything less than that seemed like it would have upset her. So what did she want to happen in that situation? And what did she want to happen in the overall situation? Oh, the son, Chester. Yes, that's his name. First episode, we got introduced to the flashback. I'm calling it a flashback now. We got introduced to the flashback with the son, who we no longer see anymore. Lucky has a box with C-E written on it. I'm going to use common sense and think that's Chester Emery, so I'm guessing he's dead. We don't know how he died. Lucky's at cousin Hazel's house, I think. Hazel brings up her son. I'm guessing it's not common knowledge that Chester is dead, because she's talking about like it's regular. So Lucky has a whole experience and she's like, oh, I gotta leave, I gotta go. Part of my, I don't want to say it just yet. I wrote it down, but I thought about it after I wrote it down. I feel like Lucky is having too many mental breakdowns. Like, I feel like they're making her a weak character because she can't deal with life. Now, if she can't in fact deal with life, okay, but like, is she unable? If every single thing, granted, it seems like there was a horrible thing that happened to Chester. So somebody mentions her son, and we don't know the timeline of how recent between when they moved and when it happened. So it could be relatively fresh. It's possible, I don't know. But everything, to the waving the gun on the yard, disassociating and the hardware like she can't get a grip, it seems. And I feel like watching the show, she seems like the weakest out of the characters because they all seem to be breaking down in some way, shape, or form except for Gracie. Ruby, she's having her stresses in school. Henry's having his stresses at work. Everybody's having their stresses, but it seems like Lucky is just kind of losing it. Are they trying to make a statement that black women are dealing with a mountain's load of, shit on their shoulders on a day-to-day? Possibly. I can't speak on it yet. I guess I'll have to watch a few more episodes before I can speak on it, but she just seems like everything triggers her. And if that's the case, then Henry's statement to the officer, if she hasn't been herself, wasn't offensive, it was factual, and he's trying to help her get back to even if she is that fragile. Is she aware that she's that fragile and she's upset that somebody's acknowledging it? I don't know. But I just know that it seems like, because she leaves the house and then she gets on the bus and then she has a breakdown on the bus, it's like, yo, it's kind of hard to defend you sometimes, babe. Like, I mean, I love you, but damn. I wrote white boy. Why did I write that? Oh, Betty at the Klan meeting? HOA meeting. She stands up because her husband didn't show up, and so she kind of like speaks from the gut. Our fathers, my grandfather, he built this place. And I thought that was interesting. And I asked last episode if they want to explore the reasons why white people felt the way that they did. She even said it, birthright. The white people in the show, or at least Betty, feels like there's a birthright that they have to this land. And I think that's interesting as it applies to real life. And feel free to comment on your thoughts on it. A birthright to something. I guess my question to Betty would be, how long does that extend? How long, if you were born on a place, is there a birthright to that place, even if your immediate father stole that from somebody? If somebody purchased this sour punch and, got the receipt for it and they're walking down the street, waiting to get home to enjoy their sour punch, and I walk down the street and I steal the sour punch from them, give me that, that's mine. And then I go home and I'm sitting in my kitchen with my child and I'm eating my sour punch, but I only eat half of it, whatever, and I save the rest for my child when they get older. It's a stupid analogy. Point of the matter is, my child sees me with this sour punch and like, look, my dad and his sour punch, he earned that sour punch, and that sour punch is gonna be mine when I grow teeth and want to eat a sour punch. Betty feels like Compton is her birthright because of 1900. And it's 1950. So 50 years ago, work happened, and that was 1950, and this is our birthright. But she doesn't talk about 1830. She doesn't talk about 7. Is that an actual belief that white people had? They definitely have it in the show. At least Betty has it in the show. I'll be real. Does theft mess up any kind of birthright? Or do you even say my father stole this land fair and square? I'm curious. That's a real question. If you know that your great-grandfather stole this thing, is it still your birthright? And do you still feel comfortable? Who are you honking at? Anyway, I like the scene because it shows you a little bit deeper into their thought process. But I mean, the deeper you go, the more questions you have. So that was just a question that I had. Fucking jump scares. Why did I write that? I hate jump scares, I know that, but I can't remember why I wrote it. Fucking jump scares. Oh, fucking Lucky on the bus. I feel like it's gonna continue to bother me, and I'm gonna try to talk about it less because it's gonna continue to bother me. This paranormal shit is not for me. And it's not that it's not for me, it's just not done well. Who is the man in the hat? Who's this random? Why are they all tall? Why are they all tall? They're all tall. One guy got a hat and the other one got a blouse, and they're just tall and in the shadows, and they appear where they want to. Fucking jump scares. But the cop, I told you, he's a little shaky. He shows up, he picks her up from the bus apparently, drops her off at the crib or down the street from the crib, and he's, camera work. I'll get back to the cop. Camera work. So I told you last episode about how they had the focus of the front and the background. So this one, if you go back and watch it, if you've watched it already, go back and watch it. So when the cop's talking to Lucky in the car, that camera work is brilliant. It's not foreground, background, it's two different cameras. The screen is split, but it's hard to tell that it's split. At first you're thinking, oh, okay, but like, no, it's actually two different cameras. It's nice. Whoever the director is, or cinematography, great job. That camera work was dope because it gave you the movement of the scene. Like both cameras were tilting. It was even adjusting in the scene. I sound crazy right now. I sound like Lucky. Watch the scene and then come back to hear me explain it, and it'll make sense. But the way that they shot that in the car was dope. The cop seems like he's still trying to be a friend, but he had a monologue where he was like, yeah, when I was a kid, this was all farmland, it was all mine. Like, I feel like there's gonna be something that comes up with him where it's like, he's not who he says he is. And then he makes the threat. I mean, we could just tell your husband what happened. Like, I don't know. I don't like him. I don't like him at all. What is the last thing he said? He said, the way that you could blend in here is to make your neighbors feel safe. That was an impactful statement because it implies so much that they're moving into the neighborhood automatically makes their neighbors feel unsafe. The question would be why. The presence of black people makes you feel unsafe. Why? But the statement is a way that you could blend into this neighborhood is making them feel safe. How could I make them feel safe if the simple fact that my skin is black makes them feel unsafe? Do you want me to bleach? Is that a solution? Episode 3, I think there's like 10 episodes. I don't know, I didn't look how many episodes there were. But hopefully throughout the span of the show, they'll unpack that even more of like, what is it about me that bothers you? I'd look forward to that. I would say that it visually seems like Henry is trying to support her because her episode was the most recent. I'm assuming that back when he was struggling, she was supporting him, but in this present time, Henry's trying to be supportive of her, but she's not making sense. Like, the men, he's like, oh, the men, the white men, oh, yeah, he's trying to support, but then she goes and says, no, it was on a bus and it was some ghost, and then he's like, I don't know what to do. Like, you're not making sense. And I think it was a dope callback. I think it's the last episode or the one before that, I'm not sure, where he says, look, do you trust me? I need you to hear you say it. And she says it. And then in this episode 3, she's like, yo, do you believe me or trust me? I need to hear you say it. And he kind of hesitates, so she gets up and walks away. I mean, look, it's hard. Look, it's not easy to hear these unbelievable stories coming from the same person back to back to back. And it's like, look, and he didn't even say no, he just hesitated, and that was enough for her. Yeah, their relationship, this is obviously compounding on top of all the stuff that they're dealing with to separate them, to put them at odds. You should, especially in a marriage or a relationship, your partner should be the person that, if nobody believes me, you should believe me. I don't want to say she's not making it easy, but the situation is not making it easy. Think that, last point. Why are there so many white people outside at 2 o'clock in the morning? Every time it's nighttime, it seems like there's a nighttime block party that I didn't get invited to. Every time the camera pans down the street, or even during the daytime, she chased somebody's son down the street, and it's like every time we're outside, somebody's just about to get into their car and looks up. somebody's getting the mail and looks up, there's always a crowd of white people to see some action with black people. And then nighttime, there's 3 guys in front of this garage smoking a cigar. There's 1 guy over here mowing his lawn or something. It's always white people around the cul-de-sac. I get it. It's the story they're trying to show you. Forget I said it. It's just weird. No, don't forget I said it, because it is weird. It's just weird. There's just so many white people. It's like, what are y'all doing? It's 1950. I know y'all got TV sets in your house. Like, why are y'all inside watching TV or eating meatloaf or something? Like, why are y'all all outside collectively? It's just strange. Did they all come from the Klan meeting? The HOA meeting? Is that what it was? Like, they all just got home, so that's why I don't know. That's my cue. These have been Views from a Drunk. From the drunk. A drunk. Same thing. This episode, I'm gonna stick at a 7.5 shots out of 10. Yeah. It hasn't gotten worse. I like the show. It's certain things about it are confusing me, but I'm still intrigued and I'm going to continue watching it. So I'm gonna say it's maintaining 7.5 shots out of 10. Betty gonna cheat with the milkman? She might.